Testing. Let's see how this goes. Yeah. Okay, looks like it's working. Now, the only thing is, I don't know how to monitor chat. So let's see. How do I do this? To have YouTube open at the same time too. We're gonna start with something simple. I'm gonna just share my post on X. Simple. We're just gonna start tagging people. Who should I tag? Let's do that. Let's do that as a starting point. Who should I tag? I'm just gonna tag all of the verified people who follow me. And just people I like. Let's think. Ben Thompson from Stratechery. Who else? David Perel. How I write? Who else? Why isn't this working? Okay, we gotta go like this. Why isn't this working? Yo, what is going on with this? Okay, let's see. Okay, looks like somebody just interacted with the Vogue writers. So if y'all listening, I'm just trying to start from scratch and get people to join. It looks like there may be people in the chat I can't see. I've never done this before. So y'all, okay, this me. Okay, boom, cool. So I can actually see the chat from my streaming software. So if you're here, you just say what's up. That way I make sure it's working. And then I'm just gonna send them a DM. I'll do that from my phone. Looks like they found this pretty naturally. So what I would do, I'm just gonna dictate this. Hi, I saw you like the post I just put up on X. Would you be interested in advertising or promoting this? Boom. Message sent. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, so first, just for now until people start, I'm just gonna be just tagging people I know that may find this interesting. I think you might find this interesting. I remember you talking about how you put a paywall in front of your podcast to start and how that paywall was like one of the worst things that you could do when you're getting started. And so it got me thinking of what the next business model for writers is going to be. And just message Visa. I know it's quiet, no music. Trying to avoid getting demonetized on YouTube, but I don't know. Maybe there might be another way I could do this. Hold on. Get some music in here that's license free. Let's see what we got. Recently said there are 3 levels of story for a company. The first level is literally, what are you even doing? Half of startup founders probably can't even articulate just that. I think she's right, and I found as myself as a writer that it can be hard to even just articulate what you're working on. And so I'm flipping the script. I'm going live right now. I'm live on YouTube, and I'm pitching what I'm working on and getting sponsorship for it live. If it doesn't get greenlit, it goes into a vault, and then I bring up the next topic. Okay, I didn't forget about the music, so we're gonna put that up soon. Let's go. Just trying to start from scratch. This is right, not the writer. Let's link in here. Oh, music. I got you. Hold on. Let's see. And even just pulling up the unlicensed music, I think is something that I could talk about here. So if y'all want me to talk about that, I can. Let's see, I just like this. Let's see. Oh no. Let's see. Hold on. There we go. Feeling chill? I mean, it's a Sunday. Let's play some chill music. Yeah. So we're gonna kind of have to do this for a while until what was it? I'm curious what we're working on. Yeah. I'm using to kind of help write this next post. I'm not just posting it as is. If you want to see what that right now, the beginner stream, I'm just gonna get people to join and see if I don't. Please let me know in the chat. Subscribe, and I'll address it. Technology. Right now, I'm just trying to get people. So, I guess. Let me know if you can hear the music too. Trying to make it so it's not just radio silence on. Let me know. Let's see. So we're gonna make this post using the transcript. All right. In a discussion with Palmer Luckey, Lulu Cheng Meservey talked about how she Lulu Cheng Meservey asked Palmer Luckey about a moment where he called out Jason Calacanis at the All In Summit. You're just joining right now. Can't not looking at the chat at the moment. Let me take a look, see if anyone joined. I'll acknowledge you. Welcome in. I'm working on just getting people to join at the moment, and from there, once I even got one person engaged, I'll start pitching. It's gonna be a pretty long pitch, so yeah, we'll go from there. I'm just creating a post that will get either Palmer Luckey or Lulu's attention. Can't play the full thing just because I don't know what copyright restrictions she has yet. So let me do this. And so there's a whole part of my screen that isn't being seen right now, but if you want to see that part of the screen, you want me to talk through that, happy to do that too. Just let me know. And then by now the music should be ready, and then it looks like we got a couple people interacting on X. So let's see what we got. So Ian. So I'm not gonna show that, but I'm gonna show Ian my subscriber growth over the last 7 days. The last is 14 days because there's been more people, right? They also have to get 27 from. So okay, so let me get a link. Oh, got you with the link. All right, let's see. There's 2 people watching right now. If you're attending, please subscribe. I don't know if you can comment in the chat without subscribing. All right, you can. All right. What's up, Mike? Just about to throw some music on. Let's see.
Yeah. Just ride the wave.
Essentially what I'm doing, so maybe I think the business content on one of the things that basically like nothing like this. Okay, I want to push this idea, and at the end of the pitch, who wants to do it, and one of the over to a vote. Who wants to get down from grade article. greenlight this mode where it's just hold on now. Hold on now, Mike. Is that better? Like, can you hear me now while I'm talking, even though the music's on in the background? Let me know. In chat. All right, bet. Yo.
Yeah. Just ride the wave.
So, I'll start from the beginning. We're just trying to say that I'm looking to just change the business model. I bet. Appreciate it. Looking to change the business model for writers. So right now there's only a few kinds of business models that are available. So one, either you spend time writing and then you publish it. If you have enough writing, not a lot of people are going to sign up for the expectation of receiving that and then you just waiting for the article to come out. And I think that's less attractive business model for writers because it's like, and let's not even talk about writers. Let's talk about readers. Number one, readers, if you subscribe, like say you subscribe to the New York Times, you don't even know what you're getting access to. You don't know about it, right? So you're paying. Hold on, let me just. I'm gonna just turn the music off. I'm gonna turn the music off. That's probably a better thing. So I'm trying to see how to get the levels right with the system audio. And honestly, as I'm speaking out loud, this is one of the challenges, is because a lot of the software for streaming, like I don't know how. Okay, you said music's still too loud. But I turned it off, so it should be good now. So, and then there's also a delay. So let me do this. Let me log in to YouTube. I'm gonna just monitor the chat from YouTube. Seems like that's just a better option. So let me pull that up. I'm gonna monitor the chat from YouTube instead of the stream. And then there's also a delay. So let me. I bet. One of the things I'm realizing, basically the business model for readers of content on the internet is just kind of not there. Readers and writers. I could talk about writers, but I want to start on the reading side. Like if you subscribe to like a New York Times or what's it called? Like any other publication, you don't know what you're going to get information about. So then the question becomes, okay, what are you subscribing for? At the end of the day, you're subscribing for consistent output. Like basically one of the creators of the subscription writing business model talked about how, people will ask him, oh, can I pay for one-off articles? And he's like, nah, that's not what this is. Like you're paying for production. Like I'm telling you, or the promise of production, like I'm telling you that I'm going to write this every day or write weekly or whatever that cadence is that he's defined. And then you're paying for access to that on a consistent basis. And so it's not like one-off articles. And so that works down the road. For example, if someone's like, and it works to get it viable. So if someone has like their own, how would you call it? And let's see, we're getting some action now on this post. So if someone has their own audience that they're bringing over that's willing to pay a certain amount, or if they are going all in on the writing, then it could work. So for example, if I was only writing and I was like, okay, I'm just going to pump out, and I kind of was able to create the writing at a certain speed, then that would work. So if I'm like, okay, I can do 7 articles a week and I got to publish before the end of the day, then that could work. I think that's possible, but I don't know if I'm that efficient yet. So, on that topic, it's like, okay, if I'm not that efficient yet, how do I make the writing business model work for me? And so, you really only have a few options. And I know I'm sorry to repeat myself. If you want me to stop, let me know. I can go to the next thing. But it says there's 2 things. There's either writing, getting a subscription, and if you're not doing a subscription paid, it's something else. I don't even know what that something else is, but um, I think writers now need to flip the script. And actually, Mike, you had mentioned like, okay, what is the when's the last time you did something new? So I joined an essay club recently, and we had a meeting on Thursday, and I just spent like 15 minutes pitching an article that I was thinking about. And while I was speaking, number one, because there was multiple people on the call, I was like, okay, I'm not even going to be able to describe what I'm trying to do in this article on the call. But also, even after I describe it, it's like until I write it or fully pitch it for as long as I need to and be like, all right, that's my full pitch. Now, what do you think? Then it's not going to work. So you can't really have this kind of like infrequent pitch process. Like you kind of have to open up space for writers to just um, pitch the entire idea and be like, oh, this is something I find interesting. Because like if you're just coming across an article, the person has already spent a ton of time trying to put it together. So looks like we got action on this post. So I'm going to see if I can tag people, see if I can get more people to join, and then I can kind of continue to move forward on with the pitches. But right now, kind of figuring this out as I'm going. So let's see. Let me. Boom, boom. So I'm just gonna write this out for now. So hold on. So let me throw the music back on since I'm kind of typing this out. I don't want to leave it too quiet. back on. See, I got a different variation of this. When you join, type something in the chat so I know you're there. And then let's see. Y'all let me know. You want me to start describing the article design process? Happy to do that first. So you let me know where you want me to start. What y'all feeling? All right, this is what I'm gonna start with. So I'm gonna try to solve the first problem first, which is getting enough, getting people on. Appreciate everybody who's joined so far. Getting people on, and then maybe this is the first article. And let me write down, because I did have a list of some things I did want to get to article wise, but we'll start with this one. So I want to talk about Palmer Luckey and this interview that he had with Lulu Missouri. So just some background, because I know those names, for those not familiar, may sound like they're random. But Palmer Luckey is the founder of, most notably, Oculus VR. So Oculus, bought by Meta, and then he was outed by Meta, and then later started Anduril. So basically, she had an interview. Palmer had an interview with Lulu. Essentially, she helps founders do something called Go Direct. So she says her whole thing is that traditional PR doesn't work, and she says that for too long, founders have either control of their narratives to media and middlemen, and that was before so they've done that, right? They've given control to middlemen. Before the internet, that was a necessity, but now you can, what she calls, go direct. So she says the way to reach large audiences is through the media, or was through the media, and then get media coverage. But today, you can reach people through social media. So let's basically, her thing is communication is the founder's job. For a decade, we've been told that tech founders are cartoon villains, venture funded startups are grifts, and new technologies will destroy us all. She says maybe there was a time when founders could just focus on building what they're building. They were seen by the media establishment as a curiosity, not a threat to the natural hierarchy, whatever that means. So even if you're not interested in the discourse surrounding what you're building, it's interested in you. So if you just bow out, you're forfeiting your license to build a movement and thus build a company. She says building a movement is hard, but it must be done, and it must be done by founders. So her whole thing is okay, you got to describe what you're building. And so maybe I'll start with the post, and I'll just share this clip that
a story for a company. The first level, there are 3 levels to a story for a company. The first level is just literally, what are you even doing? Half of startups and half of startup founders probably can't even articulate just that. What is this thing? Level 2 is, what does that represent? What is the upshot of you doing this successfully? And then level 3 is, what is the shape of the dent in the universe and in society if this works? If this actually works. And so for SpaceX, level 1 might be, we're building a rocket. Pretty cool, not maximum cool. Level 2 is, we're building a rocket to restore American spaceflight from the private sector, to revive an industry that's been stagnant for decades. More inspiring, not final form. Level 3 would be, we're restoring spaceflight from America, humanity's last best hope, because we need to make mankind an interplanetary species. There are
Yep. Appreciate it. Thank you for calling that out. Oh man. Yeah, I was muted. So basically, was a summary. So the thing is that there are, just like you said, there's three levels of a company. Okay, so what are you doing? So maybe I'll start by just describing what I'm doing here. So one, I think the process of creating content on the internet is kind of backwards, especially for people that are just getting started out. It supposes that you have um, uh, either people that are already like waiting at the end of your production to be able to purchase what you're doing, right? So traditionally, if you have an idea for a piece of content, you'll go into your room, you'll spend time building it, and then you'll bring it out to the world and be like, hey, here's what I built. Do you want this? And that time gap from when you get the idea to when you actually start creating it and then when you put it out into the world is too wide. And so the thing is, okay, can you figure out how to make it work sooner than you are aware? Or can you figure out how to make it work while you're building the thing? So, there's a lot of content about this. And actually, I was watching this interview, Michael Lewis, the creator of Moneyball. He talked about his issues with being able to write. And I think I have a draft of this, so I'm going to maybe share that draft here. And I'll just describe this article that I was thinking of writing. Okay, so this is a quote from Michael Lewis, the best-selling author of Moneyball. If you're familiar with Moneyball, it's that movie featuring Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill. But essentially, here's what it talks about. It says, when I'm working on something, I don't like to talk about it. This was in an interview with Ezra Klein. And let me just add that. So he says, partly the reason why he doesn't like talking about what he's writing is because he finds that if people ask him what he's working on and he says how he's thinking about it, that they're not interested at all. It shuts down the conversation. And he gave an example and said, like, I'm doing a book about baseball statistics. And he says he gets these blank stares in response. That book obviously was Moneyball, right? People love the movie, but remember the movie is based off of something that was written. So he's like, okay, it just shuts down the conversation. So he gave an example, says, I'm doing a book about baseball, yada, yada. Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill. Okay, so maybe there's another way of describing his ability to tell stories, he said. Maybe the talent is a capacity to make people interested in what you're interested in on the page. And I found that concept of making it interesting on the page as being important, because it sounds like there's a gap. So great books can become movies like Moneyball, but in order to get to a Moneyball, you need a writer who's going to put that story on paper. And so the gap between that is the ability to make something interesting on the page versus the ability to just make something interesting to the ear or to the eye, right? Those are very different skills. And so that doesn't mean that those skills are any more important. It just means that there's a bridge in between that. So let me pause because it's looks like I'm kind of getting some action on this. Okay. Ian Schwartzman pulling up. So let's go. And I'll figure out how to do this clipping part. But we're just gonna roll with it. I'm posting this to to my Instagram account right now, seeing if I get some more people to pull in. But I'll pause there. Any part that I sound interesting to anybody, throw it in the chat. I'll kind of go deeper on that and describe it if you'd like, or I'll take it in any direction that you want. So I'm just going to be adding my link to X right now, or to Instagram right now. So I'll play some music in the background just so it's not quiet. get back to talking in a minute. Just gonna post this link on my Instagram, get more people. I'm gonna start going in depth, but I'm really just gonna be just continuing to go through the topics. If there's anything y'all want me to dive deeper on, let me know. But just gonna post this real quick. Should be back in 1 minute.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just ride the wave.
All right, I'm gonna go back to writing this. Essentially, one of my, let's say, minor stretch goals right now is to get either Palmer Luckey or Lulu Chang Meservey to either repost this or join. And while I write this, maybe I'll talk about why. Before I took a little went on a tangent, I was talking about how Palmer Luckey and Lulu Meservey had a discussion recently. And so basically, what was that discussion? So they were talking about, actually, let me just pull it up. This is what it is. Lulu, if you're watching, hopefully don't get my, hopefully I don't get flagged on YouTube for doing this via live. But basically I'm just trying to post this clip. I don't think I should. I mean, I'm just doing a small critique. So basically, what was the process? So basically she said, let me find it. Let's see. Okay. So here's what I said.
The title of my talk I gave was current year.
So he's talking about the title of a talk that he gave at this All In Summit hosted by the All In podcast. So here's what he said. The title of his talk was Current Year is Too Late to Start Caring About Current Thing. And basically just talked about how, if you wait until, for example, after the war in Ukraine to start caring about national security is too late. So he says that necessarily means you'll never be a part of deterring a problem, only fixing it reactively. People say they want to be proactive and not reactive, but that isn't how anyone online acts. So let me just play it.
People say they want to be a proactive and not reactive, but that isn't how anyone online acts. And so I did that. His team sets up a prep call for us to go over this. And I planned on bringing up like, hey, Jason, just so you know, you've been a real shithead. And I was going to bring it up, work through it. So they set up a Zoom. I go onto the Zoom. His team is there.
And so basically, maybe I could try to, no, let me just try to find the actual video, and I'll work from the back, because I haven't, it's a pretty interesting clip, but I've been trying to truncate it in order to post it, but we're just gonna share it. Okay.
Not even at Anduril, but I mean, going back into the Oculus.
So I'm gonna just share some stuff. Maybe this will be interesting to people. So if on YouTube, you know how maybe, you know, like if you're trying to find a specific moment in a YouTube video, you can either go to show transcript, or now Google has this like Gemini star button where you can just ask what you're looking for, and it'll actually give you the timestamp. It's actually super helpful. So, and I'm not typing it. If you want to know how I'm not typing to add this, I'll show you. But this is going to be me just talking to this to add the text. I'm looking for the part of the episode where they talk about the Palmer's interaction with Jason Calacanis and why he chose to call him out. And I want to know the full story, starting with what caused the rift and then how they progressed. So boom, so now Gemini is searching. Let me just make sure you can still see that. Should be able to see it, yep, cool. But I realize it's kind of small, so let me zoom in a bit. Boom, that's a lot better. Okay. So boom. So the cause, let's play that now. And I think it's important to note, I'm not talking about the contents of what he's talking about or the specific circumstances. I'm talking about the overall like structure of what he's saying, like what caused him to respond in this way, etc.
Background for people who don't know is Jason had really gone after me very aggressively when it came out that I had given money to a pro-Trump group that ran an anti-Hillary Clinton billboard. And that's all they did. And he was so aggressive about not just criticizing what I was doing, but specifically that the outcome that should take place as a result of me voting for the party that everyone voted for is that I should be fired and removed from my own company that I started as a teenager. It's some of the most anti-founder behavior I've seen, and he consistently engaged in that behavior. He's not the only one. There are others. I never did anything about it. I just said, man, that Jason guy's a real shithead. Never said anything about it. I took the high ground for a pretty long time. And then there's a few reasons that I decided that I was going to go after him. The first is I developed a world.
Yeah, and when he talks about going after him, he's just saying, like, I'm going to just speak out against him.
Few reasons that I decided that I was going to go after him. The first is I developed a worldview over the course of years that the world is better when everyone has teeth and everyone has claws and everyone knows it. It's the armed society is polite society argument as applied to industry reputation. It's good for people to know that there are consequences for lying about people, especially if you're going to aggressively advocate for them to be fired, and then specifically celebrate on your podcast when they are fired and say it's the smartest decision Mark Zuckerberg has made all year. Like if you're going to do that, be careful.
Yes, but then so you decided to actually show up.
So here's what happened. I didn't see Jason for years, and then he reached out about 5 years into Anduril, and he said, "Hey Palmer, would love to have you on the pod." He sent me this email, and I gave him a very honest answer. I said, I'm not going to be on your podcast. Why would I promote or help someone who lies about me and misleads his viewers and has also just generally been very hateful to me?
No, this was just a direct reply.
Yeah, this was just to him. Another 2 years pass or so. And I get invited to All In Summit. He sends me his emails, Palmer, we got to have you at All In Summit. It's going to be amazing. We're going to have all the best entrepreneurs here. And I thought about this. And honestly, I wasn't going to do this whole stunt. Like, I wasn't planning on calling him out. I said, I should probably be the bigger man. I should probably go to this summit. There are a lot of people there. Elon's even speaking at All In. I should go and use this as an opportunity to propagandize my much more important mission, which is that people can't wait. Like the title of my talk I gave was "Current Year is Too Late to Start Caring About Current Thing." And I said, I'm going to go there and talk about why you can't wait till after the war in Ukraine starts to care about national security. That means you'll necessarily never be part of deterring a problem, only fixing it reactively. People say they want to be a proactive and not reactive, but that isn't how anyone online acts. And so I did that. His team sets up a prep call for us to go over this. And I planned on bringing up, like, hey, Jason, just so you know, you've been a real shithead. And I was going to bring it up, work through it. So they set up a Zoom. I go onto the Zoom. His team is there. Jason doesn't show up. No explanation, doesn't say anything, just doesn't show up. And so we just sat there.
Was he supposed to be there?
Oh, yeah. It was a prep call for me and him because he wanted me to give a talk. And then he wanted to do a Q&A at the end, moderated by him. So we're just sitting there on the line for 30 minutes. And they said, well, I guess Jason's not going to show up. So let us reschedule this. And so now I had to give him shit about this. And so they reschedule it for about 2 weeks later, right before the conference. And guess what? He doesn't show up again. Twice he bails, no explanation. And honestly, I know these other things I've talked about are a lot more high-minded. Sometimes the high-minded stuff, the straw that really broke the camel's back in this case was just the disrespect of not showing up. I said, you know what? Screw this guy. What was I thinking?
Why didn't you just say no and pull out of the conference? Like, what made you do this instead of just pulling out, which is what most people do?
There's two reasons. One is the classic way that people model thinking about, like, basically going after people who attack you, whether they're successful in attacking your reputation or not. They say, well, just ignore them. Just let them go. And it's horrible advice. It is good advice for almost nobody. Maybe like Jesus Christ or the Pope can afford this strategy. But in reality, your ability to affect the world, to bring things into being, to convince people to work with you, work for you, and for investors to invest with you and for you is based deeply in your reputation. And if you don't care about what people think about you, you will necessarily accomplish less, work with fewer people, raise less money. And it's not like a binary thing. It's not you'll fail or you'll succeed. But even reputational drag can drag you further down the curve. And most people cannot afford that. So that advice is just terrible. And so yeah, everyone says, Palmer, just let it go. I said, well, first of all, I can't really afford to just let things like this go. Like I could be successful. It is valuable for me to go out there and correct the record on this stuff. But the bigger point, and this is the real reason, and I talked about it in my talk, most people don't have the ability to hit back at bullies like Jason. They're never going to get to be on stage at his own conference in front of his own sycophants, explaining why they are all a bunch of NPCs following the NPC king. And I think that it's valuable to shock those people out of the matrix a little bit and to do it on behalf of a lot of the people who cannot do it. By the way, I had over a dozen founders that Jason had specifically gone after and either called for them to be fired or celebrated.
All right, so you get the point. Essentially, the whole reason that he spoke at his conference and basically called him out on the anti-founder behavior of just like calling him to be fired by his company, but yet Jason Calacanis like invests in a lot of founders. The whole reason he did that was because of that kind of information. So maybe we'll start with this. This is going to be the next article, and maybe here's what I'll do. I'll do like a timer, 5 seconds. Let's do 15 seconds. Or maybe 30. Let's see if we could add. Okay, reset. Okay, there we go. Timer, boom. Let's do 30 seconds. Okay. So boom, boom. Let's do 30 seconds. So I'm going to tell a quick story. I should probably tell the story before I do the auction. So, my company used to be a part of this Oracle NetSuite accelerator. So Oracle NetSuite. So I'm going to do a pitch, then I'm going to do the auction and see if anyone wants to sponsor this. But essentially, Oracle NetSuite used to have an accelerator where they allowed companies to join, and as you can see, it's kind of been removed from their website, but they basically allowed for companies to join. And what they would do is, it was kind of a dual benefit. Number one, you get access to their software at a discounted price. Cool, but I wasn't like gung-ho about needing the NetSuite software. I'm pretty familiar with it. It's like an accounting software, yada yada. But if you haven't heard of Oracle NetSuite, you've at least heard of Oracle, like Oracle and Larry Ellison, one of the richest founders, one of the richest people in the U.S. Oracle tried to buy TikTok. There's that whole thing, right? And so, in any event, I joined this accelerator, and they had so there's two benefit. One, the software, again, didn't care much, and the other one was the this access to a group of startups and also access to their venture capital network. And by joining, you get access to VCs and be able to potentially get investment. It was this whole thing to be able to bridge the gap for underrepresented founders to get VC access. And so, long story short, after making me like kind of commit to the contract, they also had this thing in it where they said like kind of halfway through, not even 2 years into the cohort, the program is supposed to be 3 years long, they canceled the cohort and tried to keep me in the contract. So they were trying to say, it basically like pull the rug. You get access to the software, it's a discounted price, but now the accelerator is gone, we're removing it, but you're not getting out of your contract. And I basically was like, yo, I'm not paying for this contract anymore. So either you figure out how to end it or you're just not going to get paid. And so that's what it. Long story short, it took about 6 months for them to cancel it, but there's still the amount that I paid in anticipation of this promise that they provided. So I'm going to start the timer 30 seconds. If you want me to write an article about this, I'll do that. I'll start taking the bids. Let's say minimum, I don't really have a minimum, maybe let's say $5. $5 as a minimum. I'll join. We'll start the bidding at $1, but like $5 minimum. If it crosses that threshold, I'll write it. If it doesn't, I won't write it. But yeah, let's start now. So let's see. And the way to do it, you can just type in the chat if you're willing to go for $1, and then once someone says they have the dollar, then do $2, and we'll go from there. So remember, you're auctioning on me writing the story of this with Oracle at the angle of what happened with Palmer Luckey or Lulu Meservey. So happy to explain it a little bit more. If it's still not clear after the end of the auction price, feel free to just type it into the chat. And okay, looks like that time went out. Let's see, I didn't see anyone bid. So y'all tell me, do you want me to I could continue talking about that one topic because there's a lot contained in that story there. Could look at it from different angles, or I could move on. So you tell me, feel free to type it in the chat. I will go along with whatever y'all think. Now I'll play some music so it's not just quiet.
Just ride the wave.
Okay, so I want to basically, again, maybe a quick stretch goals. I'm trying to get David Senra to either join this, follow me on X, or acknowledge it in some way, because I think a lot of these ideas would be something that he'd be interested in. But the question is, okay, how do you get started? So one of the things is I'm working on responding to this post right now, and what I want to bring up in that post is something that Jay-Z said in an interview on songwriting.
Bebop, the key.
So let me pull that up.
In a lock with words.
He talked about authenticity.
Fight against the future. Told the story of you. That's why hip hop became so big, because everyone wanted to feel those feelings. I tell people all the time, never fight against the future. Future's coming. Artists, they were trying to recreate something that was already done, but they're not connected to it like that. They're not living it and breathing it. They were fighting against gravity as opposed to telling their story. We needed that other side. We needed to hear about what happens when you've had 4 successful albums. What happens? What is that feeling like? How do you make the next one? How did you get in the studio? How are your kids? How do you interact with them as this hip hop dad? But if you're trying to make young music and you're not young, it's going to be inauthentic, and people could feel that. You can smell it. So the best thing that anyone can do, like going through music, is to tell a story and just keep creating from that space. I love what the Clips are doing right now and how it's authentic to them. And they're telling a story about their mom and dad who just passed away, and how deep that is, with John Legend singing on the chorus, and everything that they've been through is an authentic display, a piece of classic material that it could have came out 96 or come out.
Got action, so Let's make a quick pivot. So one of the things I want to see, so I'm curious how this showed up on the feed. Number one, it just looks like he liked it. He didn't like repost it or anything, but someone found it. So either they are, and I guess I won't know if they're following him unless I'm following this guy, right? Okay, so I am following this. So he's not following this person. So who is this guy? Okay. Ford Smith. Okay. So I'm wondering how it's showing up in the feed. So there was actually a post on X that I bookmarked a while ago that said, what did it say? How to understand the Grok algorithm or the X algorithm, like really quickly. So I think he reposted it. But he reposted so much stuff that I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find it. It's 20 minutes ago. Actually, I'm almost there, probably. Let's see. There we go. Yep. Okay. How to understand the X algorithm in 60 seconds. So Twitter, or X as it's called now, they open source their algorithm. So if you're trying to grow on X, you can look at the code and see how their algorithm is working. Okay, so how are you doing that? So this person just said, okay, they downloaded it through GitHub and then put it to Codex. They cloned the GitHub repo and then gave it to Codex, which is OpenAI's the comparison would be like their Claude Code or Claude app, desktop app, and said, thoroughly understand the drivers behind the X algorithm and deliver a concise set of recommendations for growing. Here's what it says. Current 4U implementation is best understood as a retrieval and ranking system, not a simple engagement checklist. And I think I had looked into this a while ago, but it's called Phoenix. So that should kind of give you the vibes of what it means to grow on the platform. Like Phoenix grows from the ashes. Like, how do you rise, right? Okay, so let's start to think about this, right? So let me pull this up. I'll show you. Grows from that. Okay, so it says 1, publish for a narrow audience segment first, so Phoenix can match the post to users whose history already predicts interest. So the post that I made is probably explaining what just happened here. To optimize posts for conversation, saves, shares, dwell, clicks, follows, and qualified video views, not likes alone. Reply quickly and substantively to early comments, because reply probability and author follow probability are first class scoring terms. Avoid low quality hooks that create hides. Okay, so let's see. So let's go back to this. repost this. Play music so it's not quiet. I'm gonna explain what I'm doing right now, but just gonna create this post because I see a path to growing on X that's really pretty straightforward. So I'll talk through that again. Just spoke about it, but happy to repeat it for the people that just joined. So I'm trying to do just this. How do I just share my screen for just this design? Present. There we go.
Just ride the wave.
right, we back. Still may need to duck out in a bit, depending on when the food gets here. But let's see what's next. One of the things, because like I said, I'm building all this live, but one of the things I'm thinking about is I need just like a plan to say, oh, I'm gonna be auctioning off this piece at this time. I need to generate the full week and what that looks like. So that's what I'm gonna be starting with. So let's see, close out. What do we got here? Leave it here for now. How am I gonna show? So I'm just gonna design this live. I'm gonna design the Red Oak Show. Okay. I got that. I got my logo. Probably gonna have to. Okay, I already removed the background for this. Let's see. So I'm gonna remove the background for this. Boom. Oops. We're gonna go, what are the colors here in the background? I don't know if I can adjust that. I may just have to move it. I don't even know how to create this like kind of schedule card. Let's figure it out though. Let's see. Okay, that looks kind of good. Okay, I kind of like that. I kind of like this. Okay, it's kind of coming together. Hey, boom. I don't need the class schedule part, but it seems like a good. a good starting point. Number one, let's update the colors on that. Boom. Oh, just something like that. Or honestly, this is weird. But there, ungroup this. Boom. It's gonna be a schedule. Now update the color. It's gonna force me to be more specific. Let's see, I'm kind of picking what I'm gonna do. Yeah, I like this. This may be a little bit. Yeah, you gotta realize everyone's kind of coming in without any priors, so. So boom, that's what I'll do. Oh, simple. Let's go back to the chat, see what's going down. Last left is just to do the stream. So let me know if y'all tap in. So we got some people joining.